These are creepy TikToks that will make you rethink your whole reality.
Philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau would hide in alleyways, pull his pants down, and jump scare women ass first in hopes they would get scared and spank him in self-defense. Apparently, this was his kink. A famous Irish pirate named Anne Bonny would fight with one boob out just to show that not only are you about to get murdered, but you're about to get murdered by an 18-year-old girl.
During the French Revolution, where the guillotine was introduced, the people to be executed fought to be first, as the blade would dull after multiple uses, and wouldn't cut a head clean off at the first attempt. If you're male, after you die, your loved ones can have a doctor electrocute your prostate to force you to ejaculate for sperm.
I'm back, it's your boy FITTI, and today we're looking at this compilation together, so grab your water, your popcorn, your ice cream, whatever you want. Just remember to subscribe and like the video so it gets pushed to more people. If you like my chain, check my link down below.
Things caught in elevators. More than an elevator failing, many people fear being trapped in one. People are afraid of this happening for meter seconds, but what about 41 hours? That's what happened to Nicholas White, whose elevator got stuck in the middle of its trip. 41 hours, and there was nothing he could do to help himself. Quickly, he begins to run around erratically. At about 4 hours, the man lies down, waiting to see what happens next. We can see maintenance trying to get him in the other elevator shots. By 20 hours, they've made no real progress. The man begins messing with things from his pockets before opening the doors. At about 34 hours, he climbs, seemingly looking for another way out. Clearly not satisfied or otherwise unable, he continues his cycle of laying down, running around, pacing, prying the doors open, and so much more. Before the 41-hour mark, he's finally released from this unfortunate circumstance, and they block the elevator off from further use.
Honestly, I'm happy he came out unscathed, nothing happened to him, but that's crazy. Imagine you're stuck in an elevator for 41 hours? That's almost 2 days.
Dirty facts about history that school probably didn't teach you. Part 14.
Like
Philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau would hide in alleyways, pull his pants down, and jump scare women ass first in hopes they would get scared and spank him in self-defense. Apparently, this was his kink. A famous Irish pirate named Anne Bonny would fight with one boob out just to show that not only are you about to get murdered, but you're about to get murdered by an 18-year-old girl.
Savage as hell.
This is my murder titty. York. The only slave on the Lewis and Clark expedition was a sensation among indigenous American women. They found the guy quite attractive, and he would tell them that he was part bear so they would sleep with him in hopes of producing a bear warrior baby. LBJ used to take out his pee-pee and show people how big it was. He referred to it as jumbo, and here's a phone call of him complaining to a clothing company that their pants were too tight on his ladybird lance.
The crotch down where your nuts hang is always a little too tight. If you can't leave me about an inch from where the zipper ends, round under my back to my bunghole.
Nah, some of those were crazy. The girl with her boobs, then the warrior bear baby, and then this man's big fat cock.
Jameson family is unlike anything you have heard. So this family right here, the Jameson family with the 2 parents and their 6-year-old daughter, for an unknown reason, they just packed their truck in 2009 and they had these plans to live in a storage unit, like on a plot of land. We would end up getting this security camera footage that was retained from their home, where they packed the truck and they did so completely silent, like they were in a trance or something. So the family does go missing after this day, but their truck is found abandoned and locked. It's really eerie because inside of this truck there was like 32 grand, all of their belongings, and their family dog was still in the truck alive. They end up finding the father's cell phone, and that's when they find something really disturbing. There's a picture of his 6-year-old daughter on the day they left, and she's just standing completely alone in the woods, just screaming, and nobody knows why he took this picture. 4 years later, all 3 bodies were found 3 miles away in the woods, and no one knows what happened to them or why they left.
That's kind of weird. Why would her dad do that? Shaking my head, bro. People are just so weird sometimes. Like, why would
Disturbing facts that will ruin your life. When whales reach a certain age, they will eventually be too weak to swim back to the surface for air, so they will just suffocate to death and eventually sink to the bottom of the ocean. When you die, you will be aware that you are dead until the moment your brain fully ceases function. When getting laser eye surgery, you can smell the parts of your eyes being shaved down. During the French Revolution, where the guillotine was introduced, the people to be executed fought to be first, as the blade would dull after multiple uses and wouldn't cut a head clean off at the first attempt. If you're male, after you die, your loved ones can have a doctor electrocute your prostate to force you to ejaculate for sperm. Humans have enough bite power to bite off their own finger, bone and all. The only thing stopping us is our brain's natural safety factor. A deceased human body can take between 24 to 48 hours to decompress, releasing the remaining blood, urine, and fecal matter, depending on the situation, position, and method of death. If you die on a submarine, they put your body in the fridge with all the food. If not, up a torpedo tube. It's actually common that corpses will periodically burp, fart, gasp, groan as gases escape through the mouth and anus. When you get burned by electricity, it actually leaves marks shaped like lightning on your skin. Hit the plus sign if you want to learn more facts.
That was like a machine gun, bro. Was just hitting me with facts. He was like, so after this one, I was like, what the? I'm like, bro, can electrocute my prostate and I could just nut? Like, what the hell?
This is the scariest story about the broken down car. There was a man named Alex who never got an Uber before. He didn't trust them and was honestly scared of strangers. But one day his car broke down, and in a last resort, he called an Uber. When the Uber got there, it was an old elderly man. Alex then got in the car and said hello. The man then said, if you're thirsty, I have some water bottles back there. Alex was super thirsty and immediately drank the whole bottle. But seconds later, he passed out. When Alex woke up, he found himself in a small, creepy room with both of his hands chained to the wall and his left leg cut off. Alex then began screaming hysterically, and suddenly the old man came into the room and said, "You better get used to this place, my friend, because you're going to die here."
First of all, one thing I gotta say about the actual guy that got kidnapped. Bro, if a man says he got water in the back, if it's a water bottle, you gotta listen for the... You gotta make sure that it's a fresh water bottle. You can't just go in a stranger's car and just expect, oh, he has a glass of water, let me just drink it. You gotta be more cautious, bro.
Scary things caught on camera. Bailey is a TikTok user who works in a so-called haunted theater. As the story goes, the owner of the theater apparently died 30 years ago in a tragic accident and still haunts his theater to this day. One night when Bailey is alone in his job, he finds something terrifying. Take a look.
Alright guys, so I work at this old theater and I've been hearing a noise. What is
that? Follow if you saw anything.
Oh, I don't know if anyone else saw that face in that corner. I was like... Look like JFK resurrected, come back from the dead to watch a movie. But yeah, that's what happens. If you go to any abandoned places or any places late at night where no one's there, gotta watch out. You never know what could be lurking in the corners.
These are some of the most disturbing things ever found on the dark web, part 1. And this video is going to give you a clear example as to why not to send nude photos, ever. Today we're going to be talking about the website called Pink Meth, and it doesn't involve drugs. Pink Meth was basically a marketplace and a website for men where they would go and sell their ex's nude photos for revenge and for a large amount of money. And if you thought that was the worst part, keep watching. These men would post literally anything they knew about you, even stuff that you didn't even know they knew. And I'm not kidding, these guys literally had full list of your personal information, whether that be your phone number, your home address, or even your family's private information. They would do anything to get dirt on your name. They don't care about how you're feeling, what it's going to do to your reputation, or anything like that. In fact, they all want one thing: money. The men would send the women's ransom nude photos to them and say, either you pay up the money or I'm gonna let the dark web do whatever they want with your private information. So this is why I urge you, don't do it.
Hey man, I'll say if you're gonna do it, you gotta know the risk you're gonna take. Someone might screenshot, someone might save. You might get exposed 10 years from now. You just gotta know the risk you're gonna take. But in my opinion, bro, that is crazy. Like, you gotta be a desperate person to steal someone's personal information and ask them for money so then it doesn't get exposed. Like, suck a dick, bro. Like, stop. Like, you're weird.
November 3rd, 2018, Tamla Horsford, a 40-year-old mother of 5, was having a slumber party with her group of friends who called themselves Football Moms. The following morning, police found Tamla dead in the backyard, covered in multiple bruises. Police ruled the death as an accident, stating that she'd most likely fallen off the porch while intoxicated. However, Tamla's family was unsure, so they had a second autopsy done which showed that she had several cuts to her arms and legs as well. This finding, along with strange differences in the witness testimonies and a confusing log of the back door of the house opening and closing repeatedly, led the family to believe that their mother's death was not an accident, it was homicide. Because of the movement protesting the murder of George Floyd, the case was reopened, but still, it was ruled an accident.
Yeah, I've seen and heard about that TikTok, but like, do you guys think that she fell off? Or do you guys think that it was actually an intentional killing? Because if that's the case, then that's messed up, because she was around a bunch of her friends, so it could have been one of them.
This is the most dangerous movie ever made. This movie is called Roar, and the cast and crew of this movie endured monstrous dangers, both on camera and off. Malini Griffith was mauled near her eyes and needed plastic surgery. A man named Hendren contacted gangrene and needed skin grafts. Another person named Marshall was mauled by the lion repeatedly and had very bad blood poisoning. The cinematographer John DeBont had his scalp torn off and needed more than 120 stitches.
Scalp!
Over 100 people were injured or severely hurt during the making of this movie, which is why it has the name of the most dangerous movie ever made. If you ever decide to watch this movie, most of the blood that you see on screen is actually 100% real.
Bro, I don't even think people really understand how big lions and tigers are. Like, mind you, they're always laying like horizontally, like kind of flat, you know, walking on all fours. But if they actually stand up, they could be our height, which is like 5'9" plus, like taller. Like, these are big animals, bro.
True crime.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey
Lionel Dahmer, May 21st, 1960, November 28th, 1994.
Also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal or the Milwaukee Monster.
Jeffrey was an American serial killer and sex offender who committed the murder and dismemberment of 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1991.
Many of his later murders involved necrophilia, cannibalism, and the permanent preservation of body parts, typically all or part of the skeleton.
Although he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, and a psychotic disorder, Dahmer was found to be legally sane at his trial.
He was convicted of 15 of the 16 murders he had committed in Wisconsin and was sentenced to 15 terms of life imprisonment on February 17, 1992.
Dahmer was later sentenced to a 16th term of life imprisonment for an additional homicide committed in Ohio in 1978.
On November 28, 1994, Dahmer was beaten to death by Christopher Scarver, a fellow inmate at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin.
Seeing that video actually reminded me of the Jeffrey Dahmer movie that came out on Netflix in October and November. I remember watching it. It was really crazy on Netflix, but nah, Jeffrey was kind of weird. If you haven't seen it on Netflix, I would recommend go seeing it. Trust me, it's fire.
Happy New Year. This is a true dark web story, part 4. Paul, a 19-year-old from Germany. Paul is a heavy weed smoker. He's done research on all types of drugs. He likes to experience new things. He tends to stay away from addictive drugs
Could be a good
and
and a bad
uses
thing.
other ones for spiritual purposes. Paul is also always on one of the deep web chats almost every night. And he has anonymous friends that are regulars on that same chat. A new user joined this chat room for the first time. Some people greeted him, some were making fun of his username, and some were very sketched out. This anonymous user sent a Tor link without describing what the website is about. After he sent the link, he just left the chat room. Paul was the only one curious about that link. He opens the link and it takes him to a website that introduces a new psychedelic drug that comes in forms of pills. As he reads more about this drug, he scrolls down and reads the offer. Your first order is on the house. We know you'll come back for more. He was mind blown that there was a free trial for this drug. He checks out his free package, puts a fake name and a fake address somewhere near his house in his city. Paul just didn't want to be traced. 4 days later, on a Saturday evening, someone knocks Paul's house door. He opens the door and sees only a box on the porch. There was a note on the box that says, "Dear Paul, we wanted to offer the best service and deliver it to your home ourselves." At this point, Paul knew this was very serious. He started panicking after finding out they know his real name and they have his real address. He runs to his PC, finding that link that was shared in that chat room that day by the anonymous user doesn't work anymore. Beneath the box, there was a local number, and under it says, WhatsApp to order more. Paul felt like this was a setup. He burned all the pills, and he never opened any random links from any deep web chat room.
Is it me, or is it kind of just obvious that you shouldn't be opening random links from anyone? I mean, like, it could be your homies, you know, your homie might send you a funny link, whatever, but like, from a random that you met on a deep web, you're bugging, like, you're asking to get set up.
Watch Logan Paul freak out about this conspiracy.
About UFOs?
Yep.
I just want to mention this real quick. There's another category of UFOs that we should be concerned about.
Oh, Lord.
USOs, unidentified submerged objects.
Stop.
Wow.
They're going underwater.
Wow.
They're going underwater now.
At precisely 11 p.m., the unidentified sphere seemingly vanished into the ocean.
Whoa, splashed. Like defying
Not a
physics,
fish.
traveling at hundreds of knots through the water, like underwater. You shouldn't be able to do that. And apparently that's a whole nother category, right? You got the flying ones, then you got the ones below sea. And the one video that came out most recently is this video the Navy had of this thing, you know, little like spherical object. I think it was about 6 feet in diameter, flying through the sky, approaching the waves, and you can hear the naval officer saying,
"Oh my gosh, they're all going against."
He said unidentified submerged object. Yo, these mans are going through water, through air. Yo, if the aliens are here, man, hopefully they have our best interests at heart, because that's some crazy technology, bro.
These are some extremely unsettling facts, and I found all of these on Reddit. There is a place on Earth called the Middle of Nowhere located in New Mexico, and here there is a house that is home to an older couple and their dog. But there were several claims of supernatural things happening around here, especially of a skinwalker walking on the premises. And then miraculously, the older couple mysteriously vanished, leaving the only survivor behind to be their dog.
To anyone who may be triggered by these topics, or anyone who is faint of heart, please keep scrolling. Serial killers from every U.S. state, Part 10. Georgia. The Atlanta child murderer.
Child is crazy.
Between 1979 and 1981, Atlanta was in a state of panic. Black children in the neighborhood were being targeted and murdered one by one. It became known as the Atlanta child murders. It is believed that Wayne Williams, a freelance photographer, may have been responsible for the murders. Wayne is in jail for 2 other murders and has never been tried for the Atlanta child murders. But there is evidence that points to him, including the fact that the fibers from his home and dog were found on the victims. Some believe Williams had nothing to do with these crimes and think that the police pinned them on him because they just wanted an answer. There are some who also believe that the KKK were the real murderers of these children, but the FBI found no direct link between these groups and the murders. If Williams was in fact the Atlanta child murderer, he would be guilty of killing nearly 30 people in total.
Nah, that's weird, bro. You guys think he was a child murderer? Put that down in the comments, but 30 people, that's a lot of people, dude. Like, find a job.
Disturbing things caught on security cameras. This security camera footage shows a woman finishing a meal at a bar and then getting up to pay. Once she leaves, something weird happens at her table. The chair moves seemingly all on its own. The menu slides by itself, a napkin flings off the table, and finally, the plate flies violently on the ground. If you watch closely, several patrons of the bar seem to notice the commotion.
Guess the ghost wanted some food too. I mean, it is what it is. The ghost gotta eat. I don't make the rules.
VR headset will kill you in real life if you die in the game. Okay, so Palmer Luckey, who is the founder of Oculus, invented a new VR headset that kills you in real life if you die in the game. He said he uses 3 explosive charge modules, and they could detect when the screen flashes red at a specific frequency, making game over integration very easy on the developer. And when an appropriate game over screen is displayed, the charges fire, instantly destroying the brain of the user. This is actually insane, and it's 100% real. He also said the idea of tying your real life to your virtual avatar has always fascinated him. You instantly raise stakes to the maximum level, and force people to fundamentally rethink how they interact with the virtual world. But he said he's too scared to play it himself. So who's going to get this new VR headset that kills you in real life if you die in the game?
Bro said, yeah, you know, I made this headset, but I'm not gonna use it. Someone else gonna use it. I'm not trying to die. Would you buy the headset? Let me know down in the comments.
This is the most chilling part of this story. When he spots Aisha Degree again, he stops the car and he rolls down the window. Mind you, it's still pouring. She's got nothing over her. And he tries to get her attention, tries to flag her down because he's thinking of his own kids. He's a father of two. And he's like, what is this kid doing out walking at 4 a.m. in the rain? So she looks at him with this kind of like wide-eyed, bewildered look, and without a second of hesitation, she turns and darts into the dark woods off of the highway. And this would mark the last person, we believe, who has ever seen Aisha Degree alive.
I wonder why she would do that though. Like, what was the point of that? She went out of her house, ran into the highway, and then darted into the woods? Guess she was trying to find Edward from Twilight or something. Hey man, it's possible.
Legend or lie, the Elms Hotel. In the summer of 1880, a man desperately looked for aid for his sickly daughter, who was ailing from tuberculosis. When he found no hope from any doctors, he turned to the Native Americans who told him of a natural spring which had natural healing powers. When the man dunked his daughter into the water, he was amazed to find out that she got better. The legend of this girl who was cured of tuberculosis spread like wildfire, and thus the town of Excelsior Springs, Missouri, was formed. In 1888, a few businessmen hoping to cash out on the town's newfound popularity opened the Elms Hotel. It was an immediate hit, and guests from all over the map came to see the mineral water baths that this hotel provided. Everything was going smoothly until 1897 when the hotel burned to the ground. But these owners were not ready to lose such a profitable endeavor and began to rebuild immediately. After many strange and mysterious setbacks, they finally finished the hotel in 1908, only for it to burn down again in 1909. Although no one was hurt either time, rumors spread of a curse around the land. But no curse was going to stop the almighty dollar. So these developers got together and built the hotel yet again, this time making a fireproof structure that opened in 1912. This time the hotel became a hotspot for organized crime and drew the likes of Al Capone and other prominent gangsters. Nowadays, legends of hauntings run rampant in the hotel. There is said to be a gangster who got shot during Prohibition lurking in the basement, ghostly maids approaching other staff members, making sure everything's running smoothly. And perhaps most strange of all, a distressed mother goes from floor to floor pounding on doors and begging for her child back. Is there some strange mystical properties that allow ghosts to haunt the halls of the Elms Hotel? Or is this all just a lie? Let me know what you think.
Man, if you're a ghost, why are you going back to work? They were like, well, you know, the maids come in and the maids actually check to make sure the other maids are doing. Bro, you're dead. So you telling me you dead and you're coming back into work on a job? You're bugging. You're bugging. I'm going home, bro. I'm dead. I'm like, bro, I'm never going into work ever again. I'm never going to that place.
Hey,
oh
look,
my God, this dude.
You gotta let him into your house now.
For those who don't know, this pizza man have been haunting me for like the last 3 videos. If you can find the videos and list them down in the comments, I'll cash app you $20.
Unintentionally disturbing characters from children's shows, Part 3. The giant walrus, from Pingu, was a character who appeared in one of Pingu's dreams, frightening and torturing him. Coraline's other mother, from Coraline, was the main antagonist in a demonic shape-shifting entity who lures children into another dimension for taking their soul. Radafuck, from SL Neko, was a creepy human-looking puppet and one of the hosts of the show.
Ew, a human puppet? That's so weird. Imagine seeing a human puppet. I would be like, what would you do if you saw a human puppet?
Anyone who may be triggered by these topics, or anyone who's faint of heart, please keep scrolling. Serial killers from every U.S. state, Part 9. Christine Falling. While Florida has seen the likes of Aileen Wuornos and Ted Bundy, one unknown serial killer makes this list for her brutality alone. Christine Falling became known as the babysitter from hell when she choked and killed 5 children in the early 80s, including an 8-month-old baby. She was just 19 years old when she murdered the children. She pleaded guilty and said she killed the children she babysat just to satisfy a sudden urge to choke them, according to the New York Times. She was sentenced to life in prison and is still there to this day.
Whoa. So she just had an urge to choke him and she just chokes him? Oh nah, you're bugging. This way you gotta be careful who your kids are around, bro. You can't be trusting everyone your kids are around because of people like that, bro.
She had no idea that after a fun night out, something followed her home. This is the chilling story of the uninvited guest. For a friend's birthday, Chloe and a few of their pals decided to book a tour of a haunted home on the other side of town. Chloe didn't believe in ghosts or any of that stuff, but agreed and thought it would be a funny night out. The night of, the group met up with the ghost hunter Steve, who gave the tour. He was really quirky and was obviously a big believer in the supernatural. Steve told the group that through prior investigations, they found the original owners of the 1900s mansion tragically passed in the home, and since it seemed to be some kind of a spiritual portal. There were reportedly numerous ghosts there, some tied to the home and others that seemed to be there just to cause trouble. Chloe laughed and honestly thought the whole thing was kind of comical. They did the standard tour, turning off all the lights, and Steve placed groups in different rooms of the home, and just as she guessed, nothing happened. As she left, she made a comment to Steve saying, "Well, I guess the ghost took the night off." They all went to get dinner and drinks afterwards, and Chloe finally got back to her apartment around midnight. She got ready for bed, lay down, and couldn't have been asleep for more than 10 minutes when all of a sudden she felt the sensation that someone had sat down on the bed next to her. The bed creaked and she felt a freezing cold breeze. She immediately jumped up and turned on the light, but there was no one there. She tried to brush it off, woke up the next morning, and got ready to walk to Pilates. It was only a 10-minute walk, and she made a turn down an empty street when suddenly, coming up from behind her, she felt that freezing air again and then heard a mischievous laugh in her ear. She turned around and again, no one there. That night, she got into bed and after an hour of tossing and turning, finally fell asleep. Just a short time later, she heard the unmistakable sounds of her floorboards creaking in her hallway as if someone was walking around out there. She froze in fear and suddenly felt that cold breeze again and felt someone standing over her. She jumped up, turned on the lights, and again, no one there. She was so desperate the next day she called Steve, the tour guide, and told him what had been going on since she left. He didn't sound surprised at all and said that he had seen spirit attachments before. He also noted the fact that Chloe made a joke of the home and the ghosts on the tour, that a spirit may have heard that and taken it as some kind of a challenge. He told her she needed to speak directly to the spirit and tell it that it wasn't welcome anymore. The moment she did, the energy shifted and the activity completely stopped. She never joked about that kind of stuff again. You never know who or what may follow you home to prove you wrong.
So let me get it straight. Because she made fun of the house or people living in the house, the ghost just attached itself to her? Well, that's kind of crazy, but in my opinion, I would never let a ghost get attached to me. Like, what would you do? Like, I don't even think you can really do anything. Like, what would you do?
This is York's infamous plague house. This little house in York is the site of a terrible tragedy and what some people claim to be the most haunted house in the UK. Hi guys, I'm on a work trip here in York to do a Halloween live stream, and I wanted to tell you about the horrific tragedy that happened to the family who lived here in this little house in the shadow of York Minster Cathedral. In the late Middle Ages, the family who lived in this house contracted the Black Plague. Terrified, the townspeople bricked them up inside their own home to prevent the spread of infection. Soon, the whole family inside the house was dead, apart from their youngest daughter, who was free from disease. Despite this, the people of York refused to let her out. They abandoned this girl inside her own home, surrounded by her dead family. This little girl cried at the window for days until she eventually died of starvation. There have been loads of sightings of this little girl's face looking out of this window. And during our live stream, our producer tried to get us to communicate using some questionably effective ghost equipment, and we thought it said my name.
What's your name? McKenna?
I heard them say McKenna. That's her name. Anyway, guys, we have loads more content coming from our trip to York, so stay tuned.
Bro, I absolutely love the people that just bring like these electrical things thinking that it's gonna make them talk to ghosts. I mean, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I personally have no idea.
Here are some facts that you probably didn't know that one day could save your life. Part 22. If you sit down to use the bathroom in prison, take one foot out of your pants completely. This way, if someone tries to attack you, you can get up and fight back. If some guy ever offers you polar bear liver, do not eat it. It contains a fatal amount of vitamin A. People who are looking for trouble are less likely to go for you if you say hi or simply let them know you're aware by introducing yourself. If you're buried underneath rubble and are unable to yell for help, grab onto something and tap in intervals of 3. It's more likely that rescuers will notice you because of the unusual pattern. More people are killed by vending machines than shark attacks or plane crashes combined. So if your snack gets stuck, it's not worth it. If you crash into an electrical pole, stay in your car and call 911. It's possible that you downed an electrical wire, meaning the entire area around your car is dangerous. If you're caught in a flash flood, realign your body to where your feet are pointing downstream. This way you'll crash into something with your feet rather than your head. Do not feed honey to a baby under a year old. It could lead to a disease called botulism, and trust me, they do not want that.
I don't even know what the botulism one is, but that's crazy. So don't feed your kids honey under 1 year old.
These are pictures that took over the internet, part 2. Up first is the Taurus World Trade Center photo. The tragic events that occurred on September 11, 2001 were brought back into sharp focus with this image that apparently shows a Taurus on the top of the building right before the plane hit. And believe it or not, mostly every single person on Earth believed it, until it was proven fake by the wrong airline on the plane. Next up is this photo. This photo absolutely baffled the internet, and for good reason. It shows a baby in the womb's footprint pressing through a pregnant woman's stomach. Even though this is physically impossible, many people still believed it, and it went insanely viral. Finally is this picture. This might have been the first viral photo ever on the internet, and it shows a guy about to get eaten by a shark while hanging out of a helicopter. This photo was believed to be true by many, but as you suspected, it turned out to be fake.
I can see the last one and the second to last one with the baby's foot being fake, but the first one, nah, that one got me, bro. I was like, no way. But then I was really thinking in my head, I was like, how would he get the image to send it to who, then upload it here? Because it's like, if realistically that happened, they both would kind of just be gone and their equipment destroyed. Like, they're not sending that to anyone. This is like 2001 we talking. So I was like, I thought that was real. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
Last words people said right before dying. Retired registered nurse Shirley Smith said that she had a rich patient who was a true Satanist. She had upside down crosses and a satanic Bible at her bedside. The patient was dying of cancer, and Shirley will never forget what happened. It was the middle of the summer, and yet it was unbearably dark and cold in the patient's room, even in the middle of the day. There was such an evil vibe in the room that Shirley would call a priest to pray with her and her aides before they would even enter it. When the patient passed, she had not spoken in 24 hours, and then all of a sudden, she sat straight up and said, "Satan, take me." Then she fell back on the bed and died. After she died, the room got extremely bright and warm. Shirley said that when they moved the patient's body, they had to get rid of the mattress because the most horrible smell was coming from the mattress cover, and the part of the mattress where the patient was laying looked burnt.
In your final moments in your deathbed, you're about to die, and you really want to just be like, yes, Satan, take my... Bro, just chill out, enjoy your time, and just chill and just pass. You don't gotta be so exaggerated.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. Part 26. While this photo looks like it's some prop from Halloween, it's an actual living two-headed dog that was created in 1959 by a mad Soviet scientist. He managed to create a two-headed dog that could smell, move, see, hear, and even bark. While this appears to be an ordinary doll, it belongs to a Russian scholar, Anatoly Moskvin, who was arrested in 2011 for having the mummified remains of young girls in his apartment. Police found 26 of these dolls in his home. On Christmas Day in 1929, Charlie Lawson would murder his wife, 6 of his 7 children, and take his own life. This photo shows a nice, large family vacationing in Sweden in the 70s. The kid in the brown shirt, however, is a 14-year-old boy named Osama. Years later, Osama bin Laden founded the pan-Islamic militant group Al-Qaeda and was responsible for the 9/11 attacks.
Not gonna lie, that two-headed dog one and the doll that got stuffed with kids' bodies, like, what are you doing, bro?
Disturbing things caught on camera. Jen Berari and her family lived peacefully in an isolated barn house until they started noticing strange things. One night, Jen claims that she saw a white figure coming out of the pond. The next morning she heard an unusual banging coming from her living room. To add to that, she saw a mysterious dark figure reflecting on her TV, but what happened after that will creep you out. Take a look.
Guys, I wanted to show you the fucking pond, but please tell me you see that. There's something. It looks like the old man is coming out.
Follow if you saw it.
If I was her and this is consistently happening, I would just moved straight up. I'm like, yo, I'm not with all this. I'm trying to live peacefully with my kids and family. An interview with a serial killer.
Is she a friend? She was, until she started stealing stuff out of the house. I asked her, why are you stealing? And she said, needed money. And I said, you have a bank account. I was paying her $4.25 an hour just to clean the apartment.
What?
So she was thieving from you? She was taking from me and my wife Rose.
Does that warrant killing her?
Huh?
Does that warrant killing her?
Well, to me it did.
Is that right?
Yo, that's absurd.
No, I went back to clean it up.
She was found with her head removed. That's
right.
What?
How did that happen?
Easy. Just pick it up and move it.
What, you just pull the head off?
Yeah, it was already off. You know, we spent a day down Turning Point Park, you know, feeding the ducks and walking around, and we were making out. And then she just flipped, you know, jumped up, says, I'm going to scream, I'm going to tell the cops. I snapped her.
What?
Snapped her neck. Stayed there all day until dark. Then, split her open from her neck to her groin. I didn't go all the way deep into the stomach area, just split her open. I don't know why.
Yo, he was telling the story so casual. He was like, yeah, you know, I just split her head open, you know, I just cracked her neck, you know, so how did you decapitate? You know, the head was already removed, bro. Like, what are you talking about? So casual with how he was just describing murdering these people. And I'm not gonna lie, $4.25 an hour is garbage. You telling someone to clean your whole apartment for $4? I mean, this was back in the day, but still.
The lizard people might actually be real. It is said that the shape-shifting lizard people have been on Earth since ancient times, coming from the Alpha Draconis star system. They have been working behind the scenes and in the shadows, slowly clawing their way up to the top, with one goal in mind: complete world domination. And conspiracy theorists said they already done it, and already successfully infiltrated world governments, controlling everything from the media to finance. Much evidence has also been brought forward showing these lizard people as celebrities or leaders of countries, reviewing weird eye movements, as well as unexplained mannerisms. But the most terrifying thing is that we can't tell who's real or who's not. And if the most prominent people in the world are someone they say they're not, just imagine what they can really do.
Hey man, I would not be surprised if the government is actually ran by reptilians. The only part about it is like, what can we realistically do?
This is the most haunted prison in America, Eastern State Penitentiary. Hundreds of people died here over the years, and this place has an incredibly dark history. Eastern State at the beginning had a good purpose. It wanted to rehabilitate people. That's why some of these cells have skylights. But over the years, a lot of notable criminals paid a visit to Eastern State, including Al Capone, who had this beautiful, luxurious cell. Now, a lot of ghost hunting teams have captured strange things at Eastern State. The TV show Ghost Hunters famously recorded a hooded figure running down one of these passageways. And there are parts of the penitentiary that are still off limits to the public. It's actually interesting because Eastern State was the very first penitentiary in the planet, and it's absolutely massive. This place was once home to murderers, deviants, and now it sits in the heart of Philadelphia, completely abandoned. When Eastern State started, they actually had a silence policy. Employees wore slippers on their feet to avoid making noise. Would you spend the night in this haunted penitentiary alone? Let me know below.
No, I'm not spending no night in no penitentiary. First of all, I didn't do anything. Second of all, I got videos to make. And third of all, it's actually funny how Al Capone's cell, although he's gotten many people killed, he's killed many people, he had a luxurious cell. Funny how that is. Once you're rich and famous, man, the world is kind of your oyster.
Have you done the Black-Eyed Children? No, but technically yes, because I'm doing it right now. If you see children that have black eyes, don't look at them, look away. Don't talk to them. Do whatever you can to stay as far away from them as you possibly can. The Black-Eyed Children is a terrifying urban legend about an evil being that takes on the appearance of children. It's said that the most common types of encounters with Black-Eyed Children are at night when it's dark outside. They might come to your front door, knocking on it, begging to be let in. They might say that they're lost and that they need to come in, or ask if you have a phone that they can use and can they please come in. When you tell the Black-Eyed Children that no, they can't come in, they'll get extremely aggravated. They'll start saying, no, I need to come in. I really, really need to come in. Much like vampires, Black-Eyed Children need permission to come inside. But it's said that if they are given permission to go inside your house, your car, or wherever it is that they're asking you to let them into, nothing good will follow. Do you want to hear about alleged encounters with I
mean, you really gotta think about it though. If I'm seeing a kid with black eyes looking at me, looking into my soul like, yo, let me in. I need to come in. I'm not letting that. What? No, you cannot come in.
The unsolved mystery of the smiley face killer.
At least 45 deaths of college-aged men have been suspected victims of the smiley face killer.
Oh wow.
However, police and most law enforcement deny the smiley face killer even exists. The theory originated from two New York City police detectives, Kevin Gannon and Anthony Duarte. They realized that the deaths of at least 45 young men by drowning had too many similarities to be unrelated. Nearly all the victims of the supposed smiley face killer were white males in college. The young men would be out with friends, then go missing weeks later. Their bodies would be found by a body of water with a smiley face drawn near the body. There was also a theory that it was a group doing the killings, as it would happen on the same night but different area, all with the signature smiley face. All deaths were written down as accidental drowning, and no further investigations were made. Do you think the smiley face killer is real, or just unfortunate accidents?
What do you guys think? Do you guys think the smiley killer was real, or do you think that was just like accidents? Me personally, in my opinion, if multiple people died and there's a smiley face on them, hey man, that's gotta be someone.
Disturbing things caught by Twitch streamers. Elgato has these creepy encounters often, due to her stream's open and candid nature. While dressed up as a Wonder Woman for what seems like a convention in Japan, she encounters a few unpleasant individuals before being chased by a man with a katana.
Why is he following us? Let's go this way.
Oh, that's
They get
scary,
away,
bro.
but not before having to seemingly run for their lives for a while, and streaming it all to her followers in the meantime.
That's funny. That guy had no idea that he was probably being broadcasted to hundreds, if not thousands of people. So, yeah. El Bozo in the chat. El Bozo in the chat.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 36. Babies bounce. Their bones are so soft that instead of thudding, they actually bounce a little. An Arizona man named Paul Menchaca was arrested after he faked having Down syndrome and hired female caregivers to bathe him and change his dirty diapers. Kids under 5 years old will often try to hide from a fire instead of running, and firefighters find the bodies. Jacqueline Durand was hired to dog sit for a pit bull and German shepherd and was told that they would be in their kennels. However, when she arrived, the dogs immediately attacked her, leaving her with over 800 bite marks
she looks messed
and
up.
severe blood loss. If you want to sell your organs on the dark web, you'll get the most money for your small intestine, worth about $800,000. This sketch shows the autopsy report of Kobe Bryant after he died in a helicopter crash in 2020. If you look closely, you can see they noted a crown tattoo on Kobe's shoulder. Makes the whole thing a lot more real.
R.I.P. Kobe, but babies bouncing is crazy. I was just thinking about, if I threw a baby out a window, not saying I would do that, but if I did, he would just bounce?
Human clones might already exist.
Probably.
Okay, so in 1996, Dolly the sheep made headlines around the world after becoming the first mammal to be successfully cloned from an adult cell. This would catalyze a golden age of cloning,
So weird.
with numerous voices speculating that the first human clone must only be a few years away. Many
That's
scientists
so
suggested
weird, bro.
that human clones could play a huge role in eradicating genetic diseases, while others considered that the cloning process could eventually eliminate birth defects and virtually any other problem a human has. However, clones are nowhere to be seen. So, could it be possible that clones are already walking among us with a much bigger purpose than just eradicating diseases? If we cloned a sheep almost 20 years ago, there's no way we can't clone a human nowadays.
100%.
Just think about it.
I was watching a movie called They Cloned Tyrone on Netflix. It was one of the trippiest, but I'd say one of the best movies I've ever seen. In my opinion, what they did in that movie, not everything, but in my opinion, some of the things they did in that movie is completely possible in our present day reality. So that to me is absolutely crazy. So are we not going to talk about the devil looking shadow creature across the street? Wait for the explanation.
All right, you have a good eye. Look at the person across the street. Like I said in my last video, the Serbian dancing lady is an unnamed woman who dances on the street at night. She will then attack anyone who she hears or sees. It's believed that she is being controlled by a demon, who you can see literally right there. It's believed that she's just an innocent lady that's being controlled by a demon. or the devil. So she is currently working as the devil's vessel to commit these crimes. It's pretty scary, not gonna lie.
The Serbian dancing lady, I've been hearing a lot about that in my past videos. What do you guys think about the Serbian dancing lady? Do you think it's real, or do you just think it's someone just dancing in the middle of the road? Put that down in the comments. Me personally, that dude's getting some hands, bro. I'm being honest. I'm just being honest. If it was me, I would have to put hands on him. Cause like, who you trying to scare, bro?
Do not watch this video if you are easily disturbed. This is this sickening, very recent case of Lily Peters. On the 24th of April 2022, 10-year-old Lily Peters was making her way home from her auntie's house in Wisconsin. Okay. She was biking and she was familiar with this route because she'd done it many times before. When she didn't return home that night, her dad reported her missing to police. What transpired was her parents' worst nightmare. Her body was discovered the following day at around 9 a.m. Officers located a bike that ended up being Lily's in the woods near a walking trail at the end of her aunt's street, and her body was discovered shortly after. Disturbing details emerged about Lily's death. She'd suffered blunt force trauma and had been strangled. Damn. Her body had then been SA'd. But who on earth would do such a thing to such an innocent little girl? 2 days after she disappeared, police charged Lily's 14-year-old cousin, Carson Peters. He'd allegedly been riding home with Lily when the horrific incident occurred. It's alleged that he punched her in the stomach and attacked her. Now, the case is still ongoing, but he has admitted to the attack. Interestingly, his father is Adam Berger, who is pictured here. He spent 3 years in prison for being a convicted pedophile. Now, Carson's bail is set to $1 million, and if convicted, he could spend life in prison.
Yo, that's crazy. This is like the first time I've actually ever heard of a child getting a $1 million sentence and possibly life in prison. I don't know if you guys know, but in the United States, if you're 14 years old, you just get put into juvie, which is the juvenile detention center. So when you're younger than 18, you basically kind of get a free pass on what you do. So it's kind of weird for me hearing a 14-year-old getting a $1 million bond and life in prison possibly.
This is what was recorded during an exorcism.
Ich verspreche das so, dass ich in dem Wald rein bin. Ich trag dir die Rotznase noch so lang, bis es lebt wird. Die Saublöderei. Für uns geht's kein Zurück. Sie in alle Ewigkeit.
Annelise Michelle was born in 1952 in West Germany. Her parents were very religious and went to Mass twice a week. When Annelise was just 16, she started to experience severe convulsions and was diagnosed with epilepsy. Annelise grows up and goes to college. Her classmates describe her as withdrawn and very religious. As time went on, her symptoms only got worse, as she suffered more seizures, which eventually landed her in a psychiatric hospital. She was prescribed medication for convulsions, which didn't help. She then described seeing the devil's face randomly through the day. As the doctors changed her medication, her delusions only got more intense. She began hallucinating while praying, claiming she was hearing demonic voices, that she was damned and would rot in hell. Her stay at the psychiatric hospital was not helping her mental health at all. And sadly, this was the case for many of those who were treated in these institutions. Eventually, Annelise became intolerant of Christian places and objects such as the crucifix. Doctors changed her medication again, and her symptoms continued to get worse. Sadly, Annelise died in 1976 of malnutrition. She was only 23 years old.
Damn, that's crazy. Imagine being possessed by a demon. I really wonder if you get possessed by a demon, like what really happens inside you? Like, do you feel different? Do you know you're being possessed? Are you like unconscious? What do you guys think? Leave it down in the comments. Jinn pretending to be a human, warning disturbing content, viewer discretion is advised. Oh. Yo, what's good with bro? If I'm gonna be honest, I think bro might just be off of something, because the way how his eyes look, either one, he's possessed, he's a zombie, or he's off of that.
Creepy facts you didn't know about. If you felt that you have been in that place before but never been, it is because you have been there in your past life. Don't sing at 3 a.m. Someone with a deep voice will join you. If you're getting married in your dreams, wake up. You're getting married to a demon.
How do you get married to a demon though? Like, so you tell me like I'm dreaming, I get married in my dream to like a baddie, right? I'm getting married to this baddie. I wake up and turns out I signed my life over to a demon.
Real Disney ghost stories sent in by you guys, part 1. These Disneyland cast members wish to remain anonymous, but here are some stories about the little girl who haunts California Adventure. When I worked in Disney California Adventure, we would sometimes see a little girl and she would show up in the bakery tour alone. And usually by the time we figured out she was alone, she's gone. We asked another cast in the bakery and they said she comes by every now and then and wanders all the way to Little Mermaid. Before Disney California Adventure was built, it was a parking lot and she was hit by a tram, and since then her ghost has haunted the area. It's funny because there's a pattern here. Another cast member wrote to me about this little girl as well in Disney California Adventure. First of all, he says that every land has some sort of ghost. Like every little land in Disneyland has something that haunts it, which is crazy. The ghost I experienced the most and will stay with me is the little girl in the Little Mermaid building. She also likes to walk around on the Grizzly Peak side. She even pulled my keys out of my pocket because I wouldn't respond to her while I was cleaning a restroom and she was pounding a stall door. What? That is so scary. Here's another ghost story about the same girl. Apparently her name is Jennifer. I work at the restaurant on Buena Vista Street in California Adventure. Jennifer is very well known by cast members. She likes to lock the women's restroom doors. She turns candlesticks on the walls upstairs. I've heard a faint scream in the hallway on the second floor. She's pulled my hair a couple times, and she has shown herself to our custodial at 3 a.m. Have you ever had an encounter with this little girl spirit at Disney California Adventure? Let me know in the comments, and keep sending me more Disney ghost stories.
Yeah, I actually never went to Disney California, like ever. But if you've been there and you've encountered this little girl, let me know your story down in the comments. I don't personally have any stories with her.
You have to be careful picking up stuff off the ground. So in the early 1960s, a family of 4 moved into a house in Mexico City. And one day the 10-year-old son is playing out in the yard when he sees something small and shiny on the ground. He doesn't really think anything of it, he just picks it up and puts it in his left pant pocket. But then over the next couple days, the boy starts getting sicker and sicker, and the skin on his left side near his pocket is starting to burn. His mom finds a capsule on him and ends up putting it in a kitchen cabinet with a bunch of other glasses. But over time, the glasses start all turning black. Not only that, but the fingernails of everyone in the family also start turning black. The boy and his family start getting sicker and sicker until one by one, most of the family dies. And this all started happening when the capsule came into the house. So what was the thing the boy found on the ground? It was a stray capsule of cobalt-60, which is incredibly radioactive. I knew it! Similar to what fell off a truck in Australia in January.
So for those who didn't know, before I started doing this reaction series, I actually did another series on radiation and atomic bombs. It's probably going to pop up right here if you're on a laptop. If you're on the TV, my bad, you're not going to see it. And trust me, bro, I feel bad for that kid's family because just because he picked up that one radioactive compound, it just ruined their whole family. And he didn't even know it either. So my prayers and thoughts go out to that family.
Let's talk about one of the most haunted dolls in North America. Before I display him, I highly suggest you comment that you claim no negative energy in this video. Now before I start, Robert, I respect you and all I am doing is telling your story. In the late 1800s, Thomas Otto and his family moved into a mansion in Key West, Florida. The Ottos were known to be stern with their servants, sometimes even mistreating them. There was a woman who was hired to take care of their son Robert, and one day Mrs. Otto supposedly witnessed her practicing black magic in their backyard and fired her. Before she left, the woman gave Robert a lifelike doll which stood 3 feet tall, had buttons for eyes, and human hair believed to be Robert's. Soon after, Robert chose to be referred by his middle name, Gene, after being scolded by his mother. He told her that Robert was the doll's name, not his. Gene was often heard in his toy room having conversations with Robert. Household objects would be found thrown across the room. Gene's toys turned up mutilated and giggling could be heard. Robert supposedly attacked people, sometimes locking them in the attic. One certain night, Robert was found at the foot of the owner's bed, giggling with a kitchen knife in hand. Robert was later moved to the East Martello Museum in Key West, where he sits perched in a glass box to this day. One employee cleaned Robert, turned off all the lights, and left for the night. The next day, he returned to find lights turned on and Robert sitting in a different position than the night before, and a fresh layer of dust on his shoes. Some say he'll even curse you. If you want to take a picture of him, you may ask politely. He'll tilt his head in permission. Now I just want to say again, Robert, I respect you, and I am just trying to tell more people about your story. Have you seen Robert in person? Have you ever had any experiences with him? Let me know in the comments.
That man Robert's scaring me. I don't claim you, Robert. I claim no negative energy. Please don't hurt me.
What is some of the crazy stuff people have confessed to as they're dying? Well, in this series, I'm going to read to you some of the craziest ones I could find. This story comes from a hospice nurse that was dealing with a patient who had fought in the Vietnam War. Early on in his treatment, she actually asked him if he had any siblings, and he mentioned that he did have a brother, but he passed away in Vietnam. He also had a wife who had previously passed away, and because of this, he didn't have a lot of people that would come visit him. The man had dementia, and the nurse said that at times it felt like he was digging deep into his brain to find moments from his life that he could describe to the nurse in vivid detail. So one night the nurse comes in, and the man is in really rough shape, like it looks like he's not going to make it through the night. And when she walks in, he starts beckoning her over, like, come here, come here, come here. So the nurse comes over, and the man begins to tell her that his brother wasn't killed by an enemy soldier in Vietnam. He had actually killed his brother. And not only that, but these men were twins. So when the brother died, the other one fully assumed his identity when he came back to the States. Meaning that when he came back from the war, he took his brother's entire life, including his wife. The man ended up passing away that night, and later on the nurse told his daughter what she had heard. And the daughter did not believe her at all, but then years later, she finds a handwritten confession from her father stuffed in a Bible.
Bro, that story honestly is kind of life-changing. Imagine you have a father and he has a twin brother. And then next thing you know, your father comes back from the war, but it's actually not your father. It's your father's twin brother, but you don't know because they're identical twins. This whole time you're thinking it's your dad, whole time it's his brother. And the brother killed. That was a crazy story, man. That's tragic. What would you do? Leave it down in the comments.
Did this man get stuck in the past? Mike Markham set out to create a time machine. His idea was to use compact lasers to reduce the air pressure going in either pole direction. Mike was a recluse and worked tirelessly on his invention. On one occasion, he even caused a citywide blackout. However, it might have benefited him as he garnered some attention and received anonymous donations. When asked about what he would bring if he could time travel, he simply replied, "My cell phone, however." In 1997, Mike and his work mysteriously disappeared without a trace. Soon afterwards, a news story was uncovered from the 1930s claiming that an unrecognizable man was found crushed in a metal tube on a California beach, and the only thing found with the body was a cell phone from the 1990s. What do you think about this? Please comment below.
I mean, if I could time travel, honestly, I'd bring my cell phone too. Like, it'd be kind of cool. Just be like, yeah, bro, look at me. I'm back in the 1950s right now. Look, it's JFK, bro. Dressed up in like this, my bling. They'd be like, yo, what the? You'd probably see me in one of those series like Time Travelers from back in the 90s. What would you do if you could time travel?
Scariest videos on the internet, part 3. Once you see it, you'll never be the same. Did you see it? Play the video again and pay attention to the top right corner.
Oh, that's so weird, bro. Imagine you're just walking out of a room and you see that. In my opinion, it might be fake though, because she looked a little bit too calm. But that's kind of weird, bro.
McDonald's ghost stories. I was working a late shift cleaning up the restrooms after a busy Friday night. While I was wiping the baby changing area, I heard a strange moan come from one of the stalls. I was the only person in the restroom. I checked the stall to see if it was an animal or something, but nothing was in there. I turned around and in the mirror I saw the reflection of a woman, just her head and torso floating. She was trying to talk to me, but it sounded all garbled and I couldn't hear what she was saying. I ran out of that bathroom so fast. What? Why is this lady hanging out in the bathroom of a McDonald's? Here's another one. I was a maintenance worker at McDonald's. One of my tasks was cleaning and repairing the playland area. One night I was climbing through the slides and the tunnels and heard a child's laughter echo through the crawl space. It was weird because the restaurant was closed and I was there alone, but I thought it was maybe coming from outside. I turned the corner and saw a little girl in a pink sweater go down the slide by herself. I checked the bottom of the slide to see if she came out of it, but there was no one there. There was a tragic accident a few years back on the road next to our building that involved a family. I always wondered if she was involved in that. I have never seen her since then, but I always feel a presence watching over me. That's really sad. Okay, last one. There is a ghost of a former customer who haunts our location. What? She was an older lady who would come here all the time. All of our employees see her when the restaurant is empty, usually in the early mornings. Her figure sits in one of the booths. She doesn't say anything and only stays a few seconds before her figure vanishes. I still don't know to this day why she chose to haunt this place. Maybe she just loved the food that much. I mean, same. She's not evil though, it's just a little startling sometimes. Do you have a ghost story at a McDonald's or any fast food establishment? Let me know in the comments.
Why McDonald's though? Out of all the places you could haunt all the people, out of everything you could do in the afterlife, why chilling at McDonald's for minutes? Like, I'm just thinking about it from my POV. If I'm a ghost, bro, I'm not gonna be just chilling in a McDonald's. For what? I can't eat food. What's the point?
This man made his victims into burgers. In 1994, Joe Metheny was living in South Baltimore with his girlfriend and their 6-year-old son. He returned home one day from work to find his girlfriend and their child had vanished. She, like Metheny, was addicted to drugs, and Joe imagined. She fled with another man and began living on the streets with him. He flew in a rage. He looked for them for days. Under his search, he ended up attacking 3 victims. He threw them into the river to hide the evidence. Later on, police arrested Metheny for the murders, and he spent 1.5 years in jail. Without physical evidence tying him to the crimes, Metheny went free. Shortly after being released, Metheny attacked 2 persons who he believed had information on his missing girlfriend. However, this time he would turn his victims into burgers. He would then sell the burgers.
Damn, that's scary. That's why you gotta be careful who you eat from, bro. This man really obliterated people because his girl left him. I understand the pain in that, but you can't just go around looking for people. You gotta move on and just do better. Turning your victims into burgers and then feeding them to people, that's gotta be one of the most inhumane and sinister things you could do as a person. And in reality, if I ever saw you, I would literally have to backhand you. Not even fully slap you like a G. I would have to backhand you like a hoe.
I feel like kids can see ghosts that we can't see. This story is about an imaginary friend that was probably something way worse. And if you like spooky stuff, definitely check out my podcast. A woman in Virginia claimed that when her daughter was little, she used to have an imaginary friend that she called Little Michael. And at first it was all the normal imaginary friend stuff that kids do. She would ask if Little Michael could eat dinner with them. She would ask if Little Michael could tuck her in at night. But she also said that if Little Michael didn't do those things, that he would get mad, which the mom thought was kind of weird. But then one day the daughter is drawing, so the mom comes over to see what the daughter's working on. And she had drawn a stick figure of herself holding hands with a ghostly child figure that was in tattered clothes. This isn't the exact photo, but the child apparently had these deep, large black eyes and was holding wilting flowers in the other hand. So the mom's a little worried and she's like, "Hey, what are you drawing?" And the daughter's like, "Oh, it's Little Michael." The mom said the daughter demanded that that photo be put on the fridge, and after the drawing was placed on the fridge, Little Michael just kind of stopped showing up as much. The mom chalks it up to a little kid's imagination, but also says that anytime there's any sound in the house, that's all she can think of.
Little Michael did not look friendly. And honestly, if I'm being honest, when I was a kid, I have some very good memories from when I was a child. I don't remember ever having an imaginary friend or seeing any sort of ghost. So it kind of makes me think, are these kids just tripping? Their imaginations are just really active? Or was I just normal or something? Or maybe I wasn't normal for not seeing ghosts, because I don't remember seeing any sort of entity or anything unusual when I was a kid. Bro, this guy's been battling a werewolf ever since episode 1, bro. Bro, ever since episode 1 all the way till now, this dude has been fighting a werewolf. I swear to God, it's a werewolf. I don't know what else it could be, but he's just been fighting this werewolf.
Scary facts that will blow your mind. 1. The middle of nowhere is an actual place within New Mexico. The legend goes that an elderly couple lived out there with their dog and witnessed many strange and bizarre things. One night, they reported seeing a strange creature that they identified as a skinwalker. After reporting this to the police, the family had vanished under strange circumstances. Their dog, however, was left left behind. This is the story that Courage the Cowardly Dog was based off of. Like and follow for more.
I don't know about you guys, but Courage the Cowardly Dog used to be one of my favorite cartoons as a kid. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's like the creepy aspect of it, but it was such an amazing cartoon. If you also watched it when you were a kid, put it down in the comments.
Disturbing moments caught on live TV. In this 2013 live footage, a news reporter is getting ready to go live when an elderly local man wanders into the frame. The two exchange polite greetings when suddenly, the reporter can be seen thoughtful and starts to insistently look over the old man, as if he recognizes him from somewhere. As it turned out, the old man who had just passed them by was the same person on whom they were about to file a missing person live report.
Been looking for you for a while. You heard or anything?
He had a memory problem and had wandered away in the wilderness overnight, fortunately finding somehow his way back.
Yo, that's actually insane. The irony, the coincidence, bro, that is insane. Imagine doing a missing report person like, yeah, hey guys, this guy's missing. If you've seen him, and then the missing guy that you're about to do this report on just walks by you like, hey, how you doing? That's crazy, bro.
The dark side of Reddit. This picture contains Reddit posts from the least disturbing to the most, and we're starting with tier 6. Today I f***ed up by admitting to my girlfriend that I pretend she is a giant cockroach when we have sex. Ever since I was a teenager, I've had very intense fantasies about having sex with a giant roach. Really gives a whole new meaning to the word cockroach. OP his balls to prove a point. 4 years ago, a guy from Croatia posted this image claiming he had found a homemade electric chair. Now, people in the comments didn't exactly believe him, so he did the only logical thing. Man used the chair to electrocute his balls and proceeded to upload a picture of them. I came home to find this in my driveway. And while people in the comments were concerned, they all agreed, open that shit. Well, he did, and inside was a key along with coordinates to a cemetery in Germany. If you want to go down this iceberg yourself, click the link in my bio and you can explore.
I'm not gonna lie, for you to imagine an intimate moment with your girlfriend and imagine her to be a cockroach, you gotta be one sick MF to do that. One sick motherfucker to do it. Like, why would you, cockroach, a cockroach? Then this man electrocuted his butt. What?
These are facts that'll make your skin crawl, part 2. Up first, since 2017 alone, over 2 million people in the United States have gone missing. This is absolutely crazy, and I can't believe that this stuff is happening right now. You could literally be enjoying your favorite show right now, and somebody else could be getting kidnapped and never seen again. Next up, medical mistakes kill over 250,000 Americans every year, and if they were a disease, they would be the 3rd leading cause of death in the United States. This is completely sad, and I wonder why this happens so often. Finally, your mind can actually sense somebody staring at you even while you're asleep, which explains why you randomly wake up during the middle of the night.
I mean, if you ask me, it's pretty obvious that as human beings, we all make mistakes, even if you're a professional in what you do, even if you're an athlete, even doctors. That's most likely why there's 250,000 medical mistakes that led to deaths. But that's understandable, although as a professional doctor, you should definitely ice up more. You should definitely, come in clutch. You're not supposed to be messing up like that. But it's understandable because, we're all humans at the end of the day.
Disturbing things caught on camera. Jen Berari and her family lived peacefully in an isolated barn house until they started noticing strange things. One night, Jen claims that she saw a white figure coming out of the pond. The next morning she heard an unusual banging coming from her living room. To add to that, she saw a mysterious dark figure reflecting on her TV, but what happened after that will creep you out. Take a look.
Guys, I wanted to show you the fucking pond, but please tell me you see that. There's something. It looks like the old man is coming out.
Follow if you saw it.
If I saw that one, I would probably go up and press him like, yo, what are you doing on our property, bro? Or I would be like, we're just gonna leave. We're just gonna leave. He could just have the house. Just take the house, take the kids, take the dog, take everything. Honestly, this is your house now. You know what? Take the keys to my car. Honestly, bro, you could just have it all.
Disturbing facts you didn't want to hear, part 2. Many doctors say that the most common last words they hear are, I don't feel so good. Most laugh tracks you hear in TV shows were recorded in the 1950s, meaning that the people you hear laughing are probably dead. During the French Revolution, it was said that the guillotine had to be used multiple times to get the job done. The reason that planes shut off their lights right before they land is so that passengers' eyes can adjust to the dark just in case there's a crash. This is so if the power goes out during the crash landing, they can better find an escape route.
The guillotine one is actually kind of crazy. I've heard about that multiple times. But bro, imagine you did something bad back in the day, bro. They're like, you know what? We're gonna cut your head off. And then they have to do that 3, 4, 5 different
This is the terrifying story about an occurrence that happened in a place called Stagtown. Stagtown had always been your ordinary small town where nothing ever really changed. That is, until something very strange started happening there. A girl named Frankie returned to Stagtown, where she started to notice cameras in odd places around the town. It seemed that every day, more and more cameras would show up. Soon enough, they even started appearing inside people's private homes as well, including inside Frankie's apartment, almost as if they would crawl in. To make matters even weirder, each camera had long wires attached to it which snaked down into the ground, making them nearly untraceable. Until one day, Frankie decided to find the source of these cameras and was able to follow one wire. What she found was absolutely terrifying. Who do you think is behind all those cameras?
You know, that's what's really weird about today's society is there can be cameras everywhere, and some cameras you don't even know they're actually cameras. That's what makes it really messed up. And I've heard about stories of people staying in hotels and motels, bathrooms, and then there's like cameras like in these really, really hidden places, whether it be like a tissue box or like the outlet plugs in the wall. It's like, bro, stuff that you think are normal could potentially have a lens in it and someone could be watching you. So just please be careful of where you go and what you do when you get to that place.
Disturbing facts that may ruin your day. You are the oldest that you have ever been and the youngest that you will ever be. Your bed absorbs 26 gallons of your sweat every year. There are 15 dead people for every 1 person alive. Science can't measure exactly how strong a gorilla is, so there's no sure way on how to contain them. The gorilla enclosures at zoos are just based on trust. Every 18 minutes, someone in the United States has a brain aneurysm that ruptures. Vampire moths are real and can feed on the blood of humans. A jar of peanut butter contains 10 or more rodent hairs and can contain up to hundreds of insect fragments. Big Bird almost joined NASA's Challenger mission to help kids become more interested in space. Millions of kids would have watched Big Bird and the Challenger space shuttle explode on live television.
But yeah, if you guys actually didn't know, a lot of insect follicles are found inside peanut butter, which is very, very weird. So next time you're eating something soft and you feel something crunchy, just remember.
Jonathan O'Brien took this picture of a UFO in Yosemite National Park back in 1992 when taking the Yosemite Falls trailhead. Others around him also saw this strange glowing object in the sky and pointed and gasped. This was in plain daylight. However, park personnel had harassed some of these witnesses who publicly shared that they had taken pictures of this phenomenon at the time, even going as far as confiscating their cameras. What do you think? Like and follow for more.
Well, if you're confiscating cameras, there's obviously something there that you just don't want the public to see. I'm sorry, like it's obvious. I feel like there's an obvious way to do things and then there's like a low-key way of doing things, and just taking people's camera, telling them no, don't post whatever. That's the obvious way for saying, yeah, we know there's things here that we just don't want you to share to the public.
Disturbing facts you wish you didn't know. Part 7. If you can remember your dream, when you wake up it wasn't a dream, it was a message.
That's a good one, that's a good one.
Kangaroos are dangerous, and if somehow you mess with one of them, it would likely lurk you into the water and try to drown you. In the movie Wizard, the lion's outfit was actually made out of real lion skin. You may be living in the last year of your life without knowing it.
That's very true.
You have probably walked past a missing person in your life. Alabama has at least 20,000 homicide cases. After this video, someone is probably taking their last breaths.
That's a fact.
Alaska is the most dangerous state in the USA.
The dream one is very true. There's multiple times in my life where like I've remembered dreams about specific situations, and whatever the dream was, it had a deeper meaning. I didn't really look too much into it, and then that situation played out in my life, and I was like, damn, I literally got told this like a couple months ago. I'm still trying to figure out how Alaska is the most dangerous state. There's like no one there. Or maybe I'm tripping. Maybe there's people in Alaska. If you're in Alaska right now, put that down in the comments. Man murders mother and get interviews to news.
Later the same day as the interview, investigators identified the woman found in the creek as 60-year-old Patricia Haverly. Her son didn't even hint toward knowing it was her.
It's sad to say that that's someone's either daughter, mother, whatever, both, child.
So when Haverly mentioned it could be someone's mother, it turned out it was his own mother. But during his interview with Newswatch 16, he said he thought it was someone from out of town.
I think it was kind of a hit, and something happened. Something went bad, and this is like a rural area, so they just wanted to plant the body somewhere else besides wherever the hell they were from.
Haverly lives across the street from where the body was found. When Newswatch 16 asked him again what he thought, Haverly continued to talk about mob or gang-related killings.
It would be like a place where people from the city would want to put a body because most likely they wouldn't be found.
Haverly also spoke about his mother's possible reaction to troopers finding a body near their home.
I'm guessing like my mother, she would be concerned. And probably a lot of the other neighbors would be concerned.
Haverly was right about his neighbors being concerned, especially when police identified the woman as his own mother and arrested Haverly later in the day for her death.
You know, I personally don't really judge people, and I don't really know what people go through on a daily basis, but how much hatred do you have to have in your heart to eliminate your own mother, the person that literally brought you into this world? You're gonna eliminate them? That's crazy. I really want to know his reasoning behind that.
This is a true horrifying story, part 25. Warning, this is not a joke. The information that's going to be shared is dangerous and life-threatening. Do not, under any circumstance, commit the actions that will be narrated. This is the world's most dangerous book ever, Shams al-Ma'arif. This book was written by Ahmed al-Buni in the 17th century. But technically, the author of this book is not a human being. I never did and will never read this book. And this is your second warning. Do not read this book. Ahmed al-Buni practiced black magic, and he was in contact with the most powerful jinns and demons before he passed away. The jinns were the authors of this book. The elder generations, like our moms and dads, have heard about this book and they were warned by it. There are thousands of horrifying stories of people who read this book. Shams al-Ma'arif explains everything about black magic, how to get in touch with the world of jinns, how to marry a jinn, and the sacrifices you have to do for the devil, and much more. Unfortunately, this book can be easily found online. One day, a Saudi Arabian man that read hundreds of books for a living decided to read this book specifically out of interest and love for all books, without fearing the consequences behind it. He reached the chapter that teaches readers how to get married to a female jinn. He laughed about it. He tried the ritual to experiment it. The first night after finishing the whole book and completing the marriage ritual, he felt someone breathing next to his face. And on the second night, he felt a hand touching his feet. And on the third night, he heard her voice. The man was officially locked in a marriage with a demon. 5 years go by. He met a normal, beautiful woman that he fell in love with, and they both decided to get married. A week before the wedding day, the bride, the bride's parents, and the groom's parents all passed and died in 3 different car crashes. These are the consequences behind this book. And it's also known from many stories of people that have died from reading the first few pages. If you don't finish reading the book, you will get killed. All my stories, all of them, are true incidents that happened one time only. But this book is a product that is permanently available online. I beg you, do not go anywhere near Shams al-Ma'arif. This video is to educate you on the dangers behind this book. Do not go anywhere close to the world of jinns.
You don't gotta tell me twice, bro. I'm not doing that. Hell no. Would you read that book? Put it down in the comments. And if you would, you're a brave soul, I promise you.
These are some extremely unsettling facts. And I found all of these on Reddit. Number 1.
get some sleep. Does you or anybody that you know sleepwalk? Well, if they do, be careful around them. There's a phenomenon known as homicidal sleepwalking, and I guess you can probably piece together what that means. Homicidal sleepwalking is when people who sleepwalk commit murders. In 2005, a boy named Jules Lowe killed his father while he was sleepwalking. And here's the crazy part. Jules went to court because of this murder, and he was acquitted of the crime because he was asleep at the time. No charges at all. Number 2. A rip in time. And also, if you want your scary facts to be included in one of these videos, shoot me a DM over on Instagram. There's a cosmological theory that's known as the Big Rip. The most simple way to put this is that since the universe is expanding at a constantly faster rate, there will get to be a point where the universe rips itself. This will cause planets, stars, and galaxies to be ripped to shreds. But on the bright side, scientists don't expect this to happen for a long time if it were to happen. And finally, don't go to sleep. We all know who Freddy Krueger is, right? He was the main villain in the movie A Nightmare on Elm Street, for those of you who don't know. The premise of this movie was that you cannot go to sleep because Freddy will kill you in your dreams. But did you know this movie was loosely based on a true story? This was reported in the LA Times, and the story told of a young boy who was terrified to go to sleep. For days, he tried not to, but he finally did one day, and when he did, he woke up screaming about a nightmare, and then mysteriously, he died. Sounds pretty sketchy to me. And look, I know hearing these is never easy, but that's why.
That's honestly a really good way for people to just lie about murder. The guy was like, bro, I was just sleepwalking. That's how he ended up getting his head cut off, bro. That'd be crazy though. I really think people would do that too.
Anyone who may be triggered by these topics, or anyone who's faint of heart, please keep scrolling. Serial killers from every U.S. state, part 16. Kansas. Dennis Lynn Rader, aka the BTK Killer. Dennis Lynn Rader is better known by his other name, the BTK Killer. The letters stand for bind, torture, kill, and that is exactly what he did. He killed 10 people in Wichita between 1974 and 1991. What made him particularly noteworthy is the cat and mouse game he played with the authorities. At each crime scene, he would leave a clue as to who he was. At one of the scenes, he left a letter telling the authorities he cannot stop killing and gave himself the initials BTK. Apparently, those clues were a little too good because Rader was eventually caught and is currently serving 10 life sentences in prison.
Bro try to be all fancy and cool. It's like, yeah, bro, I'm this cool killer just to get caught, bro. Come on. He could have played a low-key and not get caught, but that's a good thing he did get caught, though. We don't want people like that running around in our streets.
Disturbing conspiracy theories that just make sense, part 1. If you think about the words Disney and Frozen, you would probably think about the famous Disney movie featuring the two sisters Anna and Elsa. But what if that's exactly what Disney wants you to think about? For many years now, there have been rumors that Mr. Walt Disney actually had himself cryogenically frozen right before he passed away. While this has been disproven, some actually think that the movie Frozen was given its name so that when the words Disney and Frozen are googled together, only the popular 2013 movie comes up, and the creepy rumors about Walt are buried forever.
I don't know, that one was kind of weird. Do you believe that that was the reason why they made Frozen, was so that when this Disney guy gets frozen, we don't look him up and see him being frozen? I don't really think it even really matters like that, if I'm being honest.
This girl's mom went missing under mysterious circumstances, and she believes her dad had something to do with it. This is the case of Angela Green. On June 20th, 2019, in Prairie Village, Kansas, Ellie Green had just come back for summer break from her freshman year at college. Ellie and her mom Angela had a disagreement, and Ellie went to stay at a boyfriend's house till things cooled off. A few days later, her dad Jeff told Ellie that her mom had a mental breakdown while she was away and that Angela was taken to a mental institution. Jeff told Ellie that he didn't want her to see or talk to her mom until she was better. Ellie asked what hospital her mom was taken to, and her dad said he didn't know the name. Then, shockingly weeks later, Jeff told his daughter that Angela had passed from a stroke. As if this wasn't devastating enough for Ellie, Jeff then instructed her to not tell Angela's family, and they had no memorial service for her. Ellie kept it quiet for 8 months, but eventually couldn't ignore the overwhelming sense that something wasn't right, so she told her family and her cousin Michelle. The family also felt something was off, so they did some digging, and they find there is no record of Angela's passing in the state of Kansas.
Damn. Nah, if someone ever came up to me and was like, nah, don't worry about it, bro. They just passed away, bro. Don't tell anyone. And we're not going to hold any memorial services. I'm going to be instantly sussed. I'm like, nah, this dude got to have something to do with it.
Alright, so Reddit user ShadowFox046 said, I worked as a funeral director assistant for about 10 years and had a scary incident happen to me at my home. I woke up one night needing to use the restroom, and my room was in the back of the house. There was a long hallway to the restroom, and I would usually walk in the dark since I've done it many times. This one instance though, as I began to walk in the hallway, it felt cold in the hallway, and then a rush of cold air hit me. I was surprised, and then I felt something swirl around my body, and it grabbed my neck and picked me up where I was trying to balance myself on my toes. I couldn't breathe or move, and then I heard growling, and in my right ear I heard it speaking in a god-awful voice. It told me something and I was terrified. I tried to recite the Our Father, but I couldn't speak and the words weren't coming to me. After the ghost/demon spoke to me, it let go and I fell to the floor. I was literally shaking and I wanted to scream to wake up other family members, but I didn't because they all had work and school the following day. That had to be one of my scariest ghost/demon experiences. Since I worked in the funeral industry, I asked many priests about the situation. The common theme was, it may have been demonic. The only consolation I had was watching demonic documentaries and other people sharing their stories of being paralyzed by fear or hearing growling voices, which helps to know that I am not alone.
Working in a funeral home is low-key kind of crazy because it's like you're around dead bodies all day. So honestly, what if one of their ghosts just awakens like, why are you touching me? Slaps you in the top of your head like, what are you going to do, like realistically?
These are some extremely unsettling facts, and you're not going to want to miss the last one. And I found all of these on Reddit. Number 1, lock your doors at night. Serial killer Richard Chase claimed several victims in his time of being a killer, but his methods were very odd. You see, Chase would be very polite with how he killed people. I know what you're saying, how can you be polite about that? Right? You see, Chase would kill people after he broke into their house, but the only time he would break into their house was if the door was unlocked. And if it was, he would walk inside and handle his business. And when asked about this later on, Chase said he felt like it would be rude to break into someone's house that was locked. How is that the logic? Number 2, the ugliest fish in the world. Now, chances are everyone here has seen a picture of a blobfish. They're commonly known as the ugliest fish on Earth. But what if I told you that's not the case at all? This is what a blobfish actually looks like. You see, blobfishes are used to being very deep under the water where they've grown used to all of the pressures of the ocean. And the reason they look so ugly is because fishermen will rip them from the bottom of the ocean and take them up to the regular Earth. And this happening causes all of their muscles and their bones to just give out. But I'm curious to know, what's the scariest fact that you know? And I'm sorry for giving you all these facts. I know it can ruin your day, but...
Polite killer, that literally makes no sense. How could you be a polite killer? Like, you literally killed this. So he said, I'm not killing anyone unless their door is open. This is exactly why you need to lock your door, bro.
Anyone who may be triggered by these topics, or anyone who's faint of heart, please keep scrolling. Serial killers from every U.S. state, Part 1. Alabama. Jeremy Bryan Jones. Jeremy Bryan Jones was born in Miami, Oklahoma in 1973. According to his own confessions, he had already murdered 8 people by the time he turned 27. He'd also been charged with multiple counts of sexual assault and battery, and fled Oklahoma in an attempt to avoid jail time. Jones met a woman in Missouri and charmed her into giving him the social security number and personal information of her incarcerated son. Jones used this information to assume the alias of John Paul Chapman in December of 2000. He then moved to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where he remained until moving to Georgia in 2003. In 2005, Jones was convicted by a Mobile, Alabama jury for the brutal murder of 44-year-old Lisa Nichols. Her body was found in the remains of her burned-out trailer in North Mobile County. Jones had sexually assaulted and murdered her before setting her body on fire in an attempt to cover up his crimes. Jones has confessed to 21 killings across 5 states over a span of 12 years. A reasonably handsome man, Jones used his good looks to lure his victims into a false sense of security, bragging once that he could, quote, charm the panties off of a nun. He sexually assaulted, tortured, and murdered women between the ages of 16 and 45. Since being caught, Jones has been on Alabama's death row, currently residing at the W.C. Holman Correctional Facility.
He said a 16-year-old of 40s? Bro, you're like 27. What? I don't know how she ended up giving this man her son's social security number. Bro took his identity and started going on a rampage. That's crazy.
These are scary things to do with your friends, part 2. This is a scary phone number called Susie, and it's 2020-2020. Once you dial this number, you will hear a female voice that sounds extremely creepy, and she will then be screaming, help me, Susie's dying. Sometimes when the woman is saying this, it could change into a very deep demonic tone, making it even more scary. And there are reports of the woman even threatening the caller, saying, help me, Susie is drowning. If you don't help me, I will kill you in your sleep. Is this woman a real person, and what happened to Susie? Some questions will never be answered, but if you and your friends want to get a little creeped out, just call this number.
I don't care how bored I am not calling that number. If you guys want to call it and let me know what happened down in the comments.
Disturbing things caught by drones. This 2012 drone footage was taken somewhere in an Ohio park and shows the apparently peaceful autumn landscape of the place. Despite the apparent calm, at around 5 minutes of the video, something weird can be spotted in the thickets. In fact, paying close attention to the left part of your screen, you should be able to see a mysterious creature stopping and looking up as the drone passes by.
Man, if I'm being honest, I just look like a tree. It just looked like a tree. I don't know. If you saw something, put it down in the comments.
What about the woman with the wooden leg? I think this is the story that you were talking about, but if it's not the story that you were talking about, please let me know so that I can try to find the story that you were talking about so I can tell it on here. Anywho, this story is called The Drum, and it goes like this. There were two sisters, Sandra and Dolores, and they lived a peaceful life with their mother and their baby brother, Arthur. They lived by a great woods, and Sandra and Dolores would oftentimes roam through the woods during the day to have something to do. Well, one day, Sandra and Dolores were roaming through the woods when they came upon the nearest campsite. They noticed that there was a young girl around their age at this campsite, so they figured that they would go over to her and try to become friends. They went over to the girl and saw that she was playing on a drum, but this wasn't like any drum. This was a very special drum. When the girl would beat on the drum, two little mechanical people would come out of the drum and start dancing around it. Sandra and Dolores had never seen anything like this before, and they knew that they needed that drum. They asked the girl, please can we have that drum? Please, please, please. The little girl said, I'll give it to you under one condition. You have to be really bad, and then you can come back tomorrow and I'll give you the drum. So Sandra and Dolores went home, and they were on their worst behavior. They started writing all over the walls with crayons, and when dinner time came, they spilled all of their food. The next day they went back to the campsite and saw the little girl, and they told her, we were so bad yesterday. We spilled all of our food and we wrote on the walls in crayons. Can we please have the drum? Then the little girl said, that's all you did? You need to be way worse than that. If you be worse tonight, you can come back tomorrow and I'll give you the drum. The girls went back home and they were even worse than before, and soon their mother started crying and saying that she couldn't deal with this anymore. She said she wanted her daughters back, and if they didn't change their behavior, she would have to leave. And she would be replaced with a different mother, a mother that had glass eyes and wooden tail. The next day, the two girls went back to the campsite, and the little girl with the drum told them that they need to be even worse. So Sandra and Dolores made their way back home, but when they got home, their mom wasn't there, and neither was their baby brother Arthur. The two girls thought they probably just went to the store, they'll be back soon. So they went and played in the woods and expected their mom and baby brother to be back home by the time they got home later that day. When they went back home later that day, the lights were on, and there was a fire in the fireplace. But there was one thing that was a little bit off. They looked through the windows and saw that their mother was in the house sweeping, only this wasn't their mother. This mother had glass eyes and a wooden tail, and every time she moved to sweep a corner of the room, the girls could hear the wooden tail thumping on the floor.
Oh, that's crazy, bro. I don't know, man. Like, mom was like, I'm tired of these girls. I'm leaving. And then she got replaced. And just like that, the girls were like, oh no.
Legend or lie number 41, Crybaby Bridge. Let me start by saying there are many crybaby bridges in the US, but this one is in Salem, Ohio. It's right around Egypt Road, just in case you want to pay it a visit. Now let's begin. Legend has it a couple went to the bridge for a picnic with their young child. They got into a heated argument, and while they bickered, their child walked away. The couple was so caught up screaming at each other that they didn't even hear as their child fell off the bridge and into the water. Its cries for help unfortunately were never heard, and the child drowned. Another rumor that's somewhat similar surrounding the bridge is that a woman was disowned by her family after having a baby out of wedlock. Her and her child were starving to death living in the woods, and she just couldn't take it anymore. The baby just kept crying and crying, so she just lost it and threw the baby off the bridge and ignored its final cries as it drowned. Whichever you believe, the people who go to the bridge nowadays say that they can hear the child crying. They see a tall, dark figure stalking in the surrounding area after dark. This is supposedly the father looking for his lost child. However, it is also thought that cult rituals happen around Crybaby Bridge, so this shadowy figure could be something far more sinister. Is this spot in Ohio really a bridge to the supernatural? Or are all these stories just a cry for attention?
Damn, that story really shows how bad parents could be sometimes. These people were just focused on their argument, their whole kid falls off. This mom got disowned, so she threw her baby off a bridge. That's insane, bro.
You get $20,000 if you finish this haunted house. This haunted house is called McCanny Manor, and it's located in Nashville, Tennessee. But this is the scariest haunted house in the entire world. Most haunted houses just give you thrills and chills, but this one you have to sign a 40-page waiver before you could even step foot in. And if you finish, you could get $20,000. And nobody has ever made it through. McCanny Manor will apparently shatter your psyche, force feed you stuff that you don't want to eat, and some examples are vomit. And they also confine you in small spaces with insects, like spiders, bees, and cockroaches. They also physically hurt you, and even drown you. Nobody has ever died here, luckily, but multiple people collapse from heart attacks and panic attacks. So if you want to win $20,000 and have a very good fear tolerance, then I recommend going to McCanny Manor.
Bro, that 40-page waiver, I'm not signing that. It's gonna be like, oh yeah, you can't sue us if you potentially die. I'm like, bro, I'm not letting you kill me. That's terrible. That's almost as bad as dying at a Travis Scott concert, honestly. Would you do that 20K challenge? Put it down in the comments. These are creepy TikToks that will make you rethink your whole reality.
I don't even have a voice box. I had to borrow this one. Don't turn on the light.
Are you going to kill me?
The children would rip out their insides to hide the miniature TV sets that were too big to swallow, only to be found dead by the returning caregivers the next morning.
I think the scariest thing about jail was...
I'm back, it's your boy FITTI to the E, and today we're watching this compilation together, so make sure to grab your water, your popcorn, your ice cream, your fruit snacks, whatever you want. Just remember to subscribe and like the video so you can get pushed to more people, and if you like my chain, check my link down below.
We are currently receiving countless reports of an unidentified hostile organism that we'll refer to as alternates. Until we have a complete understanding of the threat, it's important to stay home, lock all doors and windows, and have access to a loaded firearm or any ranged weapon at all times. You will know if an alternate exists solely based on their physical characteristics. If you see another person that looks identical to you, run away and hide.
Run away and hide, run away and hide. Oh. Bro, I don't even know what I would do at that point. I'll probably just look at myself and be like, honestly, bro, one of us gonna make it out of here, and it's definitely not gonna be you.
The most famous serial killer in history. In 1888, a man terrorized the streets of Whitechapel, London for 12 weeks with brutal and gruesome murders. He mainly went after prostitutes and had a neck for slit throats, mutilated bodies, and on one occasion he was said to have eaten the kidneys of one of the victims. One very particular thing about this case was that the victims were gutted in a very precise way, and it was speculated that he might be a medical professional. There are only 5 confirmed victims. However, it's said that there were many more. To this day, he was never found, but Jack the Ripper remained.
Nah, going around your city killing people has gotta be crazy. Like, what really motivates someone to do that? And it's crazy because some of these serial killers, they just do it for fun. Like, literally just for fun. They're like, oh, you know, I'm bored today. Let me just GTA lobby this whole city.
I would have peed myself if I saw this. So Sale was a paper delivery boy years ago, and what he saw on his route is terrifying. Before we dive in, if you love ghost stories, make sure you check out my podcast. This week's episode is all ghost stories from listeners. So when Sale was a paper delivery boy, he always delivered to this one house in his neighborhood where an old woman lived. She was not in great health, so she actually had given him a key so he could let himself in and leave the paper on the table.
You're bugging.
One day he lets himself in the middle of the day, and he sees that she's in her room lying in her bed fully asleep. This is not normal for her, so he calls to her, but she doesn't answer. So he puts the paper on the table and he just heads out. But the next day is the same exact thing. He comes into her house and she's asleep asleep in her room, not moving and not answering. So he's like, okay, if I come back tomorrow and it's the same thing, I'm going to call for help. Except the next day when he arrives, she greets him at the door. And she's saying things like, thank you so much for delivering my paper. I loved seeing you around. I'm gonna miss you. And he's like, okay, that's kind of weird. So the next day he comes back to deliver the paper and there's cars all outside. So Sale runs up to a police officer and is like, what's going on? And the police calmly explains that the woman in the house had passed away days prior and a neighbor finally noticed and called it in. So then who did Sale see when he went to the house?
That's a fact. Who did this boy see? If I'm being honest, bro, I'd have been like, yo, cop, I was literally just here 2 days ago and she was chilling. Like, what are you talking about?
The Teletubbies conspiracy theory claims that the show was inspired by events in a Bulgarian mental facility called La La Land.
Damn.
Psychotic children were purportedly isolated in dark rooms, and apparently 4 children who died on the same day inspired the characters in Teletubbies. Lala's facial disfigurement and 5 years of isolation inspired Lala. Tuate, a deaf, facially deformed child, was tied to the fence outdoors and frostbitten, inspiring Tinky Winky. Donka, starving and unwell, inspired Dipsy by lying in his vomit for days.
What?
Ultimately, Paulina fell into a fire and was roasted alive, inspiring Poe. So why are they called the Teletubbies? The children's main source of comfort were the television sets in their room. And when they got word that the mental institution was getting rid of them, the children concocted a plan to hide the TVs. The children would rip out their insides to hide the miniature TV sets that were too big to swallow, only to be found dead by the returning caregivers the next morning.
It's kind of crazy how these traumatic and very, very scary events inspired a child's show. Bro said they tried to fit the TV inside of them and ripped out their Nah.
How could I sound anything silly? I'm plastic. I don't even have a voice box. I had to borrow this one. Don't turn on the light.
Are you going to kill me?
Nah, having your door randomly open like that gotta be one of the scariest things. Mostly if you're home alone, you're like, who the
This Polish woman is claiming to be the missing Madeline McCann. But did you know there's age progression photos done of Madeline that could help us know what she would look like today? In 2007, Madeline was taken from her family's bedroom while they were on vacation in Portugal. And immediately the parents came under fire because they did leave the kids asleep in the apartment by themselves while they went to dinner with friends. This is the official age progressed photo of Madeline to age 9, and this is the woman who's now claiming that she is Madeline. And this woman does have some of Madeline's signature features. Here you can see a black speck that looks like a pupil in Madeline's eye, which is something they both share. She's also claiming that she has a lot of missing memories from childhood, but the eye speck does seem to be her most convincing argument. But German prosecutors actually believe that Madeline is no longer alive. And 2 people believe they saw this man carrying a small girl towards the beach around the time that Madeline's parents first noticed that she was missing. But that being said, it's not completely impossible that she would be alive today.
I can honestly see how the other older girl could be an older version of Madeline, but if I'm being honest, if she is eliminated and deceased, that's kind of messed up because that's like a little ass kid. And why would this grown man do that to this little ass kid? And that's exactly why you should be careful who you have your kids around, because of people like him.
If you see another person that looks identical to you, run away and hide.
Bro's adrenaline is pumping. Bro, it literally says run away and hide. None of them ever run away and hide. They just go searching. They're like, oh shoot, I heard a noise. Let me check it out. oh wow, it's me. Oh my god.
There are 5 different types of angels according to the Bible. The first one is the seraphim, who are described in Isaiah as having 6 wings. With 2 of the wings they cover their face, and with another 2 they cover their feet, and with the last 2 they're flying. Their whole role and purpose is to praise God in heaven, saying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. The whole earth is filled with his glory." The second type is cherubim. These things are crazy looking, being described in Ezekiel 10 as having human features, except for the fact that these things are on fire, having 2 to 6 gigantic wings. They have a green crystal spinning wheel floating next to them, and they have eyes covering every inch of their body, including the wheel. And the craziest part is that they have 4 faces. The right face is a lion, the left an ox or a cherub face, in front is an eagle, and in back a human face. God placed one of these in the Garden of Eden in Genesis to keep Adam and Eve from re-entering, and the most well-known cherub is none other than Lucifer, the devil himself. The third type is archangels. Very little is known about them, and they're only mentioned a couple times in the Bible in 1 Thessalonians and Jude. The word comes from the Greek word archangelos, which means chief angel, so they're most likely in leadership roles over other angels. In Jude, we learn that the only archangel to be mentioned by name is Michael. He's the leader that we see lead the other angels to kick out Satan and his followers out of heaven, and the one in Revelation to fight off the dragon in the end times. So fourth type is warrior angels. These are shown in Revelation 9 as being an army of cavalry. The riders are described by John as having fiery red, dark blue, and sulfur yellow breastplates, and the horses they ride on have tails like snakes with heads on the end, and their own heads are that of a lion with fire, smoke, and sulfur coming out of their mouths. They're being led by the archangel Michael to fight off the forces of the devil in the end times. The fifth type is messenger angels. These angels are the ones that give messages to humans directly from God. The main one that we know of is Gabriel, as he was the one to give the message to Zechariah and Mary that they were going to have a child, even though it wasn't physically possible for either of them to have a child. Though we don't know what they look like, we do know that they were terrifying to behold, specifically Gabriel, as he had to say multiple times to people to not be afraid. And so next time your friends ask you how many angels there are, you can tell them that—
That's crazy, actually. Like, I actually kind of found that video quite interesting, because I'm thinking about it, I'm like, bro, so the type of angel that they say Lucifer was a cherubim, and you can kind of tell that that is probably one of the stronger angels, because just by looking at it, it got eyes all over its body. It was standing guard at the Garden of Eden to make sure no one comes back in. You could tell those are like the OP top angels. How I feel when no one can see my tattoos.
Walk like an angel.
Another one is crazy. Run and hide! Look at the dog.
You see another person that looks identical to you, run away and hide.
You heard him. Run away and hide. If she goes and check it out, it's over. Bro, if that was me and I saw something like that, bro, I'm jumping through my window. I don't care how high I'm up. I don't care if I'm on the top floor, the bottom floor, the middle floor, freaking the Twin Towers. Bro, I'm jumping. Like, I don't care. I don't care.
You guys remember the scary story, The Creature in the Cellar? The story goes like this. There was a little boy named Tommy who was so utterly terrified of his basement. Anytime he was in the kitchen near the cellar door, he would scream and cry and kick and just want to leave. His parents decided to take him to see a therapist. When they asked Tommy why he was so scared of the basement, he just said that he always felt like there was a creature down there trying to get him. Tommy's dad said, "That's impossible. I go in the basement every day. I know that there's nothing down there." The doctor then told Tommy's parents to give him exposure therapy, which they basically said make him sit in front of the cellar door alone until he's not scared anymore. So that night, when it got dark outside, Tommy's dad nailed the basement door open, turned off all the lights, and lit a single candle, placed it on the kitchen table, and made Tommy sit in the kitchen alone in front of the basement door. That night, they went to check on Tommy in the kitchen and found that he had been mutilated and unalived. Nobody ever knew exactly what happened to Tommy, but it's safe to assume that he was attacked by whatever he saw living in the cellar.
Bro, I know the parents feel guilty as hell for that, bro. I know for a fact they feel guilty. Bro was just chilling there, you know. He was like, you know, I'm kind of terrified, but I guess I'm just forced to do this. And then parents came back, ha ha, how you doing, son? Gone, eliminated, head gone, mutilated, crazy.
What are some of the craziest things that people have confessed to at the end of their lives? Well, in this series, I'm going to show you some of the wildest stories I found. And I cover all sorts of spooky and true crime stuff on this page, so make sure you follow along. So this story comes from a woman who was helping her mother at the end of her mother's life. The woman actually lived in Europe, but her mom lived in China, so when she got the call that her mother wasn't doing very well, she made the long journey all the way back. And right when she gets there, her mother asks all the doctors and nurses to leave the room. She apparently wanted to be absolutely alone with her daughter. So the daughter's like, what's up, are you okay? And the mom tells her she knows she doesn't have a lot of time left, so there's something she really wants to tell her. Her mother proceeds to tell her that she's not actually her biological mother. And obviously this comes as like a huge shock to the daughter, but it's nothing compared to what came next. The mother proceeds to tell her that when she was younger, she really wanted to have her own kids, but unfortunately she just wasn't able to get pregnant. And not only that, but she didn't have a lot of money, so going through an adoption agency wasn't necessarily an option. So she actually bought the daughter off the black market for adopted children in China, meaning she didn't know if the daughter's adopted parents gave her up willingly or if someone had taken her to put her on the black market. The mother actually passed away just shortly after that, and we haven't gotten any update from the poster if she got any more information on her biological family.
Ooh, that sent chills through my body. Imagine your mom's on her deathbed and she comes around talking about, yeah, actually, you know, you're not my daughter. Yeah, I kind of just took you from the black market. I'll be like, bro, what? But you can kind of tell that she had to tell her because it's resting on her soul. So I feel like that was like really the final thing that she wanted to just release before she passed. Oh, hey, Mom. You're home early. Hey, sweetie. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Let me text my brother. Your phone says you're out of town still. Oh. Who are you? You know how weird that would be? You see your mom, but she's looking at you mad creepily, and then you check her location and she's not even in the house. She's like 4 states deep down. I don't know what I would do, bro.
Oh no.
The abandoned hospital doesn't look so abandoned.
I am telling you, doing night security, it's gotta be one of the scariest jobs. Okay, so this photo right here, this was captured by Michael Hostin on the 3rd floor bathroom of a Dallas shopping mall. The reason he took it was because he's night security and he heard noises coming from this bathroom, but he was nervous to check the actual stall, so he sends a picture to his coworker. After he sent the picture, he eventually leaves the bathroom, but then gets a text where his coworker says, keep your weapon drawn and call for backup. He had no idea what he was talking about until he increased the brightness of this picture. It's not easy to see in the dark, but with the photo enhanced and slightly brightened, you can see somebody peeking over the top of that middle stall. Someone was in there, looking directly at him as he searched the bathroom. But even with a visual, by the time backup eventually came, whoever this was, they were gone, and we were left with this picture.
You know how scary that must be? That's probably on some Five Nights at Freddy's type stuff, because I was at nighttime security and then see some weird dude or something looking over at him in the dark. Oh no, I'd be terrified, bro. I'd probably be like, put your hands in the—
If you are inside your home with the lights out, do not look outside your window. Turn on your lights before you look through any window. Do not leave your home if you see a figure outside. Even if he is turned away, do not look at him. Lock all doors and windows before turning off all lights inside your residence. Hide in a small space and call authorities. Do not move from hiding unless you hear an unfamiliar voice. If you do hear a familiar voice coming from inside your home, do not move. He is inside. He is inside.
I've been thinking, like, how do these creatures even get into their house? Do they have their doors unlocked? They gotta have their doors unlocked because, bro, there's no way this thing can just teleport inside. And even if it did, the guy said run away and hide. Why you not running away and hiding?
It won't let me go outside.
Trying to communicate with the banshee. Why is it cracking like that? Bro, I don't know about you, but someone's getting a right hook. Like, as soon as it starts running to me, I'm like, what? And I'll be like, yeah! Banshee trying to mess with me. And look over at the Banshee's body and be like, loser, record that, you know what I'm saying? Put it on my Snapchat story.
Photos with disturbing stories. Photo in abandoned building. They were not alone.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
The attic of the house.
I don't need a lot. Coffee's only a dime.
There was someone who doesn't live there.
Oh yeah, I don't know what that is. The first one, that one got me crazy because I was like, oh, you know, it's just a nice little back area. Boom! Someone's fat ass face just like, hey, how you doing? What would you do? Put it down in the comments. No way out. What is he locking up though? They're locking themselves in the basement?
It's down here. We got it. You smell that? Oh, it smells like shit, bro. Anything? There's a bunch of broken glass everywhere. Okay, we're gonna go. You go this way too. Stay close to me. Fuck.
Who's crying?
Dude, stop, stay by me. It was glass. Don't move. What'd you find? I know. You smelled it. Did you fart? It's winter time. Oh, fuck. Cover, stop. Alright, we're gonna make a run for it. The trap says you were dying first.
Oh, that's messed up.
Just go. Shit. Hold on. Oh, shit, good. Oh, God, what? We gotta get the fuck out of here. What are we gonna do? No, stop. Here. I gotta go.
The facts, he did lock them in. What the hell?
There's nothing there. Stay by me. Stay right fucking behind me. This is a bad idea. Just chill out. Oh shit, it's still there.
What is that?
You got your phone?
No, I don't.
Yo, I can literally feel their just adrenaline. Like, what even was that? But first of all, he was dumb as hell for locking them in the basement. I don't know why he would do that. But if that thing is living under your house, and if that was your house, I'm gonna be honest, you need to like evaluate your living situation, because I don't know why you would have him, she, it, whatever that was, trapped in your basement.
Steve?
Nope. Man, how you don't know who's in your house?
Hello? Hello?
I'm not gonna lie, footsteps running towards you quickly like that, most when you don't know what it is, it makes it 10 times scarier, bro. Oh my god.
Humanity's Darkest Pictures. Part 5. The Shanghai Baby. On August 28, 1937, Japanese planes began to bomb Shanghai.
No!
They hit the city's train station where 1,800 civilians were hiding and waiting for evacuation, mostly women and children. Among them, the child in the picture.
Damn, that's a big baby, I'm not gonna lie. But he survived. You can tell that he got some battle scars, bro. That's messed up. Rubble destroyed around him, his family's probably gone. RIP that baby, man.
The men in black real. For decades, People have reported encountering these strange men after they witness a UFO. In many cases, they show up at witnesses' houses in vintage black cars to ask bizarre and intimidating questions. There's also something strange about them, as they appear to void facial features or are often sickly pale and act almost robotic with their movements. It's said that these are either government agents or aliens trying to cover up UFO activity. So,
do you think the Men in Black agency is like kind of real? Do you really think they go around intimidating and questioning people that have witnessed UFOs? I don't know. I know there's a movie about it, but I don't know if it's like an actual real thing. If you think it's real, put it down in the comments. I'm kind of curious about everyone's opinion on that.
The horror hidden in the photo. Cult.
I did not see that in the first one. What the hell?
Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, that one looked kind of scary. You know, they used to say like way back, I think in like the 1900s or the 1800s, they used to take pictures of dead people and post them up. So it'd be like their bodies and their face would be smiling in the picture, but they're actually not alive. That one looked kind of like one of those, I'm not gonna lie.
Are you sure? I don't think so. What's that? I told you I seen something. Quickly, no, I bet you're telling me.
Yo, she dipped out of the house so quick.
Oh my god. Wow. It's gone. No, shush, no. No.
Honestly, big round of applause to her. She saw the situation, she assessed it properly. She was like, oh, what? And before you know it, the camera flips back up, she's outside the house. I was like, yo, she ran out mad quick.
This is terrifying. Wait till the end.
Can you say hi? You say hi? No? You don't want to say hi? What was that? Where are you going? Where do you think you're going? What the hell? Hey you, come on, let's get out of here. So I'm still walking this trail and I keep hearing that same scream.
That's terrifying, bro.
This is so freaking crazy. I can't even imagine what it could be. Like, it's definitely not a bird or some kind of animal.
It's getting closer.
What the hell? Alright, so I'm about a half a mile down from when I first started hearing the screaming, and I don't know if you guys can tell, but that definitely sounds louder. So I am pretty sure that whatever the fuck this is getting a lot closer.
I'd be calling the police.
Ugh.
Facts.
Okay, so I'm way farther down the trail and that screaming is definitely getting way louder and way closer. Hey, have you been hearing that screaming too? What is wrong with you? Oh my god!
Yo, she even had a baby with her. That's insane, bro. I don't know if you ever played the game Destiny, but it was a really nice game. I liked it. They would have witches in the game and the witches sound exactly like that scream.
You guys better get ready because the Anthill Kids story is the most gruesome cult story that I think I've ever heard. Hi, I'm Julie and I talk about true crime, dark history, and all things spooky, so if that's what you're into, please give me a follow. So before we begin this story, I'm gonna need to give everyone a trigger warning times like 1,000. Even if you don't normally get disturbed by things like this, you're probably gonna get disturbed. Just a warning. The Anthill Kids was a religious cult led by Rock Theriot in Ontario, Canada in the 1970s and 80s. Rock had a troubled childhood. He played a game called Bone with his father and brothers, which basically consisted of them all sitting around the kitchen table wearing heavy boots and taking turns kicking each other in the shins. Rock's dad forced him to go door-to-door campaigning for the religious organization that he was a part of called the White Berets. Rock was very embarrassed by this, and other kids in the town would make fun of him for it. This is pretty much where Rock's hatred and resentment for religion began. In 1967, at 21 years old, Rock married his first wife, Francine, who was only 17 at the time. They ended up having 2 children together, and Rock's friends at the time described his behavior as becoming more and more erratic. It's thought that a major trigger for these behaviors was because he was suffering from a lot of health issues. He He was diagnosed with severe stomach ulcers and had very bad abdominal pain, which led him to have like a bunch of surgeries. The surgeries didn't go to plan, and he developed something called dumping syndrome after his surgeries. Basically, the food that you eat moves through your intestines too quickly. After this, Rock lost all trust in the medical profession and started reading medical textbooks himself. He would constantly talk about his newfound medical knowledge with everyone that would listen. Rock turned to drugs and alcohol to cope with the pain, and this led to an addiction. He started to become very angry, especially towards his wife Francine. Rock started to have an affair with another woman, and then Francine wasn't having this, so she ended up leaving him. Rock ended up marrying the woman that he was having an affair with, and her name was Giselle. Rock then became obsessed with religion and health, which makes no sense because he hated religion. So he stopped drinking and doing drugs and started eating healthier too, and then became a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. After joining the church, Rock started door-to-door campaigning for the church, which makes no sense because he didn't want to do it as a kid and it was embarrassing, so I don't know. He also gave sermons at the church and started to gain a large following. Rock went on a retreat with the church and went off on his own to go on a hike. When he got back, he told everyone that he received a vision from God, and then told everyone that he was a messenger for God. So he starts telling everyone that he's a messenger for God and that an apocalypse is coming. And he told everyone that he has powers to heal people. Okay, you're gonna have to come back for part 2 because I'm running out of time.
So bro kind of played this Jesus figure, but it's crazy because I was just thinking about in the middle of the video, like, this man had an affair with another girl and then married the girl that he was cheating on his wife with. In my opinion, if that girl knew that this man cheated to get with her, why would you marry this man? Do you think if someone cheats with you and they want a relationship, would you take that?
What the fuck?
She is not supposed to be moving on her own like that. Okay.
I've been hearing like knocking noises all day. It just sounds like something falling over. And of course, when I pull out my phone, it stops. So, whatever. Yeah, it's been sounding like that. Just a bunch of noise. I don't know if you'll be able to see. This is the outside. That
so
is
dark.
The car reflection. You literally can't see anything. And there's a tree in the street light. And it always sounds like it's coming from over there. And I'm honestly.
Hi, Rosie.
This is the shit I've been dealing with.
Mommy.
It's.
Oh my. Yo, her reflection scared the bro. I thought that was him. I thought that was it. I was like, yo, but now it's just a reflection. Come on, bro.
Have you seen this?
Oh, that looks crazy, bro. If that's real, that's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be terrified. Oh my gosh.
Bruh, that face though. So many of my comments have been telling me to go check out Source's new video, where he posted this. And while I was looking through my comments, I noticed that a lot of people have been tagging me in this video, which is the same video that Source posted, but it's missing the face. So of course I watched both, and I noticed that this person uploaded the video including the face. I'll tag them below as well. Let me show you it again. That face
looks crazy,
is beyond
bro.
creepy. Now I noticed most of the comments on this video are of people asking who is the artist and who made this. Which I'm sure most of us are wondering, considering this looks like a very well-made sea creature or siren. Appears to be made out of silicone. I mean, it's super shiny, looks a bit plasticky. Again, though, it is very, very well made, that is for sure.
Facts.
At first, when I saw this, I was like, what the hell?
Facts.
Now, regardless if this was handmade, This is definitely more likely the creature that you would see compared to our common perception of what a mermaid would be. Like, imagine being lured in by the beautiful siren song of a mermaid and coming face to face with this. I've posted a couple of first-hand accounts of people that have come face to face with a mermaid before, or a siren. I've attached them in the description of this video. So let me know what you think. Is this real, or is somebody just trying to trick us yet again? Like, I so badly need to know who made this, where is it real? I just need to see this thing in person.
Nah, she's not lying though, because when I was looking at it, I was like, yo, what is that? It's kind of crazy how Disney like warped our perceptions of like these underwater creatures, because in reality, if we actually met up with a mermaid, merman, a siren, whatever you want to call it, they would most likely look something like that, not like this beautiful looking humanoid creature that just has a freaking tail or a fin. Just like, hi, I'm a beautiful girl with big ass titties. You know what I'm saying? Like, hell no. It's gonna be ugly just like that. So if you have mermaid dreams, just know it looks like that.
I think the scariest thing about jail was the uncertainty of it all. If they would have said to me, you're in jail for 92 days, or even 5 years, you got 5 years, cool, I do my time. But when you're nabbed and thrown in a cell without charge, you're like, well, how long, is this my life? Is this it now? Is this the end of the story? I'm just in this cell. And I was picked up on 29th of December. I went through this quick court case, but obviously Romanian court is in Romanian by law. So you're marched into this room, everyone speaks a language you don't understand for 15 minutes, and then you're marched off to jail. You're like, what even happened? And they said, oh, here's the paper that explains it. I was like, that's in Romanian. And they said, oh, don't worry, you'll get a translation to English by law. I said, okay, that's fine. But because I was picked up on the 29th of December and there was New Year's Eve and holidays, it was 2 weeks before I even knew why I was in jail. 2 solid weeks I'm in jail. No one told me in English why I'm in jail. So they said, oh yeah, human trafficking. What do you mean human trafficking? Who? When? What? What is this? 2 weeks before I finally got a piece of paper, and then I realized what garbage it truly was.
Nah, that's crazy. Imagine being in jail for 2 weeks without even knowing why you're in jail. Me personally, I would have just escaped. Facts. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please like the video and watch the next videos. Love you, boys.